How's it going, IO? In this video we're going to talk about the new Barbie movie getting banned, the Threads app getting sued by Twitter, and a massive update on Madonna's health. So the upcoming Barbie movie has sparked a lot of controversy in Southeast Asia. It's now been banned in Vietnam, and there is talk that the same could be happening in the Philippines. The reason is that it includes a map depicting China's disputed claims over the region, known as a 9-dash line over the South China Sea. It's been a topic of contention for decades, since many other Southeast Asian nations have all made overlapping claims to a collection of islands in the sea. This is being fought over by Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, the Philippines, and Taiwan. When news of the map made waves ahead of the film's release, Vietnam officials reacted with fury, and they cancelled screenings across the nation in protest. The head of Vietnam's Department of Cinema told the Washington Post that the decision was made because of an offensive scene, referring to the picture of the 9-dash line. Lawmakers in the Philippines have also signaled disapproval of the map. Senator Francis Tolentino spoke to CNN and said if the invalidated 9-dash line was indeed depicted in the movie Barbie, then it is incumbent upon the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board of the Philippines to ban the same, as it denigrates Philippine sovereignty. In response, China is dismissing this growing anger. When asked about the controversy during a press conference on Tuesday, their foreign ministry spokesperson said that China's position on the Southeast China Sea issue is clear and consistent. They also said that Vietnam should not link the South China Sea issue with normal cultural exchange. An international tribunal at The Hague said that the particular map was illegal, although Beijing ended up dismissing the ruling at the time. Beijing has been building military bases on artificial islands within the border for years, and they've also been conducting patrols there in an attempt to impose their claims. The South China Sea is home to valuable oil and gas deposits as well as shipping lanes, and several countries have voiced concerns that Beijing is seeking to expand its reach. This is just the latest issue in the growing controversy over Hollywood's reliance on China, which has rivaled the US for the biggest market in recent years. Critics of the film industry have accused studio executives of ignoring human rights issues in the nation, just for the sake of selling films there. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz recently slammed the Barbie movie for what he calls pushing propaganda. He made a statement calling out the film, saying that he has been fighting for years to prevent American companies, especially Hollywood studios, from altering and censoring their content to appease the overseas market. He believes that the country wants to control what Americans see, hear, and ultimately think, and he said that they leverage their massive film markets to do that. The statement also brought up legislation that Cruz passed in 2022, which prevents government cooperation on films that engage in exactly this kind of censorship, because the Barbie movie isn't the only one to face a ban in Vietnam because of the line. Last year, Tom Holland's film Uncharted was banned in theaters for the same exact reason, and back in 2016, a scene was cut from Crazy Rich Asians because of that line. With the latest ban, it does have some people worried about the movie's returns. The international box office numbers might be hampered if other countries decide to follow Vietnam's lead. But still, Barbie is expected to be one of the biggest blockbusters of the summer, with a $100 million budget and a very strong marketing strategy. There's been so much hype around this movie ever since it was announced way back in 2017. So for a lot of fans, the wait has been torturous. It stars Margot Robbie as Barbie alongside her boyfriend Ken, who's of course played by Ryan Gosling. There are plenty of other celebrities appearing in the movie too, like Emma Mackey and Michael Cera, America Ferrera, and Issa Rae. Will Ferrell will be playing the CEO of Mattel, and Helen Mirren is the narrator of the movie. Now, you might be one of those people who are wondering, aren't there already a ton of Barbie movies out there, and why is this one such a big deal? But this live action is going to be very different. According to the synopsis, we're going to see what happens when Barbie and Ken get expelled from Barbie Land and cast out into the real world. So while this might sound like it's going to be a kids movie, it'll likely be exploring some serious themes as well. And just the fact that it's directed by Greta Gerwig tells you everything you need to know. She's known for her nuanced, intellectually ambitious films like Lady Bird and Little Women. Apparently, she co-wrote the script for Barbie with her husband, Noah Baumbach, who's most famous for the heartbreaking movie Marriage Story. So this means we'll be getting an interesting exploration of Barbie and Ken's relationship, most likely with feminist undertones. The movie's set to come out on the 21st of July, so it's not long now before we get to see for ourselves whether or not it lives up to the hype. And now it looks like the new Threads app has well and truly upset Elon Musk. Despite only launching 24 hours ago, it's already got over 30 million users, which is insane, and most likely because it's so easy to convert your Instagram account to a Threads account. And one thing that users have noticed right away is that Threads does a pretty decent job of replicating Twitter. Of course, this has really gotten under Elon's skin, so much so that he's now in talks to bring a lawsuit against them. He's threatened legal action against Meta and accused them of poaching former employees. Not only that, but he's also accused them of unlawful misappropriation of trade secrets and intellectual property. Alex Spiro, his personal lawyer, wrote a letter to Meta saying Twitter intends to strictly enforce its intellectual property rights and demands that Meta take immediate steps to stop using any Twitter trade secrets or other highly confidential information. He claimed that Meta has hired dozens of ex-Twitter employees over the last year, saying that these people have had and continue to have access to Twitter's trade secrets and other highly confidential information, which ultimately helped Meta develop what he termed the copycat Threads app. In response, Meta has outright denied these allegations. Their communications director said, "No one on the Threads engineering team is a former Twitter employee, and that's just not a thing." Elon has since commented on the lawsuit via Twitter, when someone called him out for being afraid of the competition. In response, he wrote, "Competition is fine. Cheating is not." Within the first few hours of its launch, more than 30 million users signed up for Threads. That is less than a tenth of the estimated 350 million users on Twitter. According to a CEC filing from 2013, it took Twitter 4 years to build that same number of users that Threads gained in one single day. Though of course, Twitter grew its user base from scratch, while Threads was able to tap into the pre-existing 2 billion monthly users on Instagram. Apparently, the look and feel of the two apps is very similar in terms of the newsfeed and the option to repost something. But is this enough to prove that it was an actual ripoff? Well, that's difficult because the US copyright law does not protect ideas. So for Twitter to be successful in court, they would have to prove that its own intellectual property, like programming code, was taken. To add to that, in 2012, Meta was granted a patent for communicating a newsfeed, the system that displays all the latest posts when you use Facebook. So when it comes to the legal stuff, it might be very difficult for Elon to take them to court. He says he's not afraid of competition, but he actually has every reason to be. Almost every influencer will be hopping on Threads, which seems to offer a brand-safe environment for advertisers. Reaching 30 million users in a day could be the result of an initial rush, but it will likely see a steady increase in users over time, just because they've made it so easy to cross-post to other platforms like Instagram. As it launched in 100 countries, Mark Zuckerberg broke more than 11 years of silence on Twitter to come on and post a meme of two nearly identical Spider-Man figures pointing at each other, indicating a standoff. To make matters worse, the word Threads started trending globally on the platform, and in response, Elon wrote, "It is infinitely preferable to be attacked by strangers on Twitter than to indulge in the false happiness of hide the pain Instagram." But whatever that means, he's clearly feeling very attacked. This new app is already proving to be a massive headache for him, even though some people have said that he's brought it all on himself by running Twitter into the ground. That is a little harsh, but he has been bringing a steady stream of chaos to Twitter ever since he bought the company. He's made a bunch of changes that have unnerved advertisers and turned off loyal users, like putting daily limits on the number of tweets that a person can view, even if they paid for a subscription. So in that sense, Meta has good timing because Twitter users are growing frustrated with the platform and they've started looking for a viable alternative. Threads could give them that opportunity to jump to a platform that gives them everything that they used to like about Twitter, and there's really no downplaying how unpopular it's become recently. A lot of it comes from the fact that they are trying to squeeze revenue out of people in any way that they can. They just made a requirement for users to be verified to use an online dashboard called TweetDeck, and of course, users will need to pay to have their accounts verified. So nothing is actually free anymore, and people are sick to death of it. So what do you think? Will you be joining Threads and abandoning Twitter? And now there's been a major update on Madonna's health. As we know, she was discovered unresponsive at a residence on Saturday. She was then rushed to hospital and admitted to the ICU, where she was intubated overnight. Her longtime manager Guy O'Siri said that she had developed a serious bacterial infection, which led to a several-day stay in the ICU. It was then reported that Madonna was recovering in a regular ward of the hospital. According to TMZ, she'd been battling a fever for longer than the month leading up to the incident, but she decided not to pursue treatment because she was concerned that doing so would jeopardize her upcoming tour. But that delay apparently allowed whatever infection that she had to spread, which progressively got worse. It was also reported that Madonna was working overtime prepping for the celebration tour, and most likely she burnt herself out trying to get things perfect in time for July 15th. An inside source spoke to The Sun and said that she was pushing herself so hard, which was extremely risky. Apparently the people around her had cautioned her to take it easy in the midst of her tireless rehearsing. We hadn't heard a ton about Madonna's situation until July 3rd, when her old friend Rosie O'Donnell posted a picture of the two of them together on Instagram. In response to all the questions about her friend's health, she explained that Madonna is recovering at home and that she's very strong in in general. Guy also wrote on Instagram, quote, "At this time, we will need to pause all commitments, which includes the tour. We will share more details with you soon as we have them, including a new start date for the tour and for rescheduled shows." An inside source that spoke to The Sun has backed up his statement and said that she was at home, happy, and just taking meetings. They also said that she's rejected a proposal to scale back on the tour because she still wants to deliver as many dates as possible when she's regained her strength. She was set to kick off her celebration tour very soon and scheduled to play 53 shows across North America and Europe. She had promised to perform her greatest hits from her 1983 debut album through to her most recent record, Madam X. It's likely that Madonna was in the final stages of rehearsal in preparation, and by her standards, it was set to be a spectacular tour. So hopefully she gets some good rest and is able to make a speedy recovery. After all, concerts can wait, but your health always needs to come first. What do you guys think about the story? Please let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video.